Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Amy controls a March of the Machines and a Halo Fountain, but no other creatures. Is it possible for Amy to activate the Halo Fountain's first ability by tapping and untapping the Halo Fountain itself? Alright, so the answer to this question is that yes, this works exactly the way that Amy hopes it will. And the reason is because the activation cost to activate that ability doesn't include any riders or restrictions on what creature that we have to untap. It doesn't, for example, say that we have to untap another creature. And so, when we're paying the costs, we have the opportunity to untap the Halo Fountain itself. There is one other technical point that I wanted to cover that makes this play possible. When you're casting a spell or activating an ability, you pay those costs in a sequence, and you determine the order of that sequence. And so what that means is it's not going to be a problem that we have to tap and untap this permanent at the same time, because that's not the way that the game handles costs. Rather, what we would do is we would tap it, and then afterwards we would untap it. And because there's a specific point where the Halo Fountain is tapped, we can choose that point in the process to be the point where we untap it. And because there's a specific point in the process where the Halo Fountain is untapped, we can choose that to be the point where we tap it. In fact, if you notice, it would be possible to do this sequence in whatever order that we want, based on the rule that I had on screen a while ago. That means that it doesn't matter whether the Halo Fountain starts out tapped or untapped, we would still be able to make this play by just reversing the order that we pay the costs. And it's possible to do this because the person who's activating the ability is the one who chooses what order those costs get paid in. So that means that it would be able to do this play whether you started out with the Halo Fountain being tapped or untapped. In fact, if Amy had something like a Cryptolith Rite in play that let her tap the Halo Fountain for white mana, then it would be possible to tap it for white mana, and then untap it, and then tap it again, and pay the entire cost to activate this ability with just the Halo Fountain, and a couple of other support enchantments that make the play possible. Now that's a pretty awesome trick in my book. Before I sign off, there's a couple of things that I wanted to go over before everybody gets too crazy with this. First of all, if you're paying a cost to activate an ability, you are able to pay all of the costs to activate that ability in whatever order you want. However, if one of those costs includes a mana payment, then the mana has to start out in your mana pool ready to go before you start paying any of the costs. It is possible for you to activate mana abilities in order to get some mana in your mana pool during the process of casting a spell or activating an ability. However, you need to have all of the mana that you're going to need ready to go before you start paying any of the costs. And that's because the part where you can activate mana abilities actually is its own separate step in the process for casting a spell or activating an ability. So you need to activate all the mana abilities you're going to need in order to get all the mana that you're going to need before you move on to the spot where you're actually going to be paying any of that mana or paying any of the other costs to activate that ability. Another thing that a lot of people are probably wondering right now is, hey, what about if we wanted to activate the second ability for Halo Fountain, but we didn't have a second creature? Would it be possible to tap the Halo Fountain and then untap it and then tap the Halo Fountain again, thus fulfilling the requirement of tapping two creatures? And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. What the game is asking us to do when we pay a cost is taken extremely literally. The cost here would involve tapping two creatures. Now, we didn't actually tap two creatures. We tapped one creature two different times. And because what we're trying to do doesn't match exactly with what the cost is asking us to do, that means that this would not be considered a valid way to pay that cost. So that trick would not work. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling, but until then, I hope you have a great day.